Hey, all right. Once again, you have fallen into Hell of Vella. And I'm here today. I'm Azrael Lawless, and I'm here today with Airik Eisen, who is a writer out on the Vella platform. Hi, Airik. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for being here today and talking about your stories and how you got started. And we'll just get going chatting if you're ready.
I'm totally ready.
Excellent. So you've got more than one
I
series
do.
out on Vella, but
I
you
do.
also have an interesting thing that you do that is not just you being the author out on Vella. So I'd like
Right.
to talk about both those things today.
Okay.
So what do you have that's out there under your name, Airik Eisen?
Okay. So the first thing I have is Fearless Adept. Um, it is about it's about a housewife in the 1950s that actually is basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer whenever she's not being a housewife. Um, I've said that um, if you mix Supernatural and Buffy, that's and put it in the 1950s, that's pretty much what that is.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
I
I had a
love
lot of fun
that.
writing that one.
How many episodes of that is there?
It is finished, and there's 26 episodes, or well, I guess 28 episodes because I added some appendixes and stuff to give people kind of a idea because there's a lot of things I made up and needed some extra explanation at the end.
Oh, very cool. Very, very cool. And then there's another title called Jacked. Is that yours?
Yep, that's mine. Jacked. Jacked came out of a really weird dream that I had,
Oh, wow.
and it was supposed to be a YouTube series originally, and it was just going to be this serial killer guy having a YouTube channel, and he would
Ooh.
just like explain stuff that he did, and it was supposed to be kind of like Jack the Ripper sort of deal, and but Jacked was just I was trying to explain it to somebody one day, and I was like, wait, just let me write a quick story for you, and then you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. And that became Jacked. And then I actually went to bed that night and I was like, of course I made the victim a female. So I turned around, rewrote it, and made the victim a male. And then I was like, and then like 3 weeks later, I heard about Vella, and I was like, this would be pretty good for Vella.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds awesome as well. So he has his YouTube channel and he just explains to people what he does.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be like everybody thinks he's fake, and
Right.
he's actually really doing this stuff. And
Wow. Oh my
yeah,
God. Oh my
and
God.
they're like love letters to the female detective that's chasing him is basically what it how I conceptualized it.
Oh wow. That one's great. I'm gonna have to look that one up after we're done here. Yeah. And
Yeah.
for anybody watching this video, I'm gonna have links directly to Airik's Vella's in the description of this video. So if you want to check out Jack like I do, then that's where it's gonna be.
Yeah, there's
How
only
about the
currently
one
two
Life
books.
After Death?
Okay, Life After Death. That is the second season of the Vellains Florilegium. That is the anthology group that I'm a part of. I have, I want to say, two stories in that one, I think. And no, maybe just, yeah, no, I have two stories. Both of them are me and a friend of mine. We came up with this idea for this undead detective that did um, jobs bounty hunting for death.
Okay.
And he wrote the first one, and I helped him, and then I wrote the second one, and they're linked, and they exist about 2 months apart. Uh,
Okay. But tell me a little bit more about this Vellains Florilegium.
Florilegium. All right.
Florilegium.
So the Vellains was something I just randomly came up with back in June. Well, maybe July. Anyway, um, and I was looking for a group of authors to kind of share all of our stuff together. And at the time, I don't know if there is now, but there was like, people had a lot of things that said anthology, but they weren't really anthology. They were just a bunch of their stories stuck together.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to create a real anthology. And the initial, I had like 20 people. I just popped it into one of the Vella Facebook pages, and I had like 20 people ask me within 24 hours, I want to do this. Let's go. And one of those was actually EA Blackwell, that we talked about earlier. Well, I guess not on camera, but anyway. But yeah, no, we have. I think you've talked to a couple of the other Vellains. I'm pretty sure you talked to Julie.
Yes. I got two Julies that I've spoken to.
Sorry, I need to. Oh, you froze. Let's see. I can't remember what her last name is, and I hope she doesn't watch this and get at me.
Not Julie Gilbert, is it?
Gilbert, yes, that's the one.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I talked to Julie actually today. Oh, I think you've frozen a little bit. There you are. Now you're not frozen.
Yeah, you froze for me too.
Oh, wow. Oh.
But that's
okay,
fine.
so Julie Gilbert's one of them, but you don't have to tell me who they all are. I just wanted to let everybody know who's listening. Okay, so this is a bunch of authors who've like gotten together and written an episode or two each for these different Vellas. And collectively, you guys call yourselves Vellains Florilegium. Yes?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so there's two of these anthologies. There's Horror of
Sintetek. The Horrors of Sintetek. Mm-hmm.
Horrors of Sintetek. And now that's also by Vellains?
Yeah. That's actually going to come out on KU here next month.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
so clearly that's a horror anthology.
Horror sci-fi.
Horror sci-fi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Life After Death was volume 2.
Correct.
Okay. And so that's it so far, right? You're looking to drop volume 3.
Yeah, volume 3 is probably going to drop either the first or second week of April. It's about time travel.
That is so cool. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And then you guys decide by some kind of democratic process what you're going to write about. What's the overarching theme, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I love that idea. And you do that, plus you have your own series, The Fearless Adept, Jacked.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking a little bit about Maiden Bloom, but that's not quite ready for prime time, right?
It's getting there. It'll probably be first week of April as well.
Very cool.
Maiden Bloom. Originally, it was going to be grimdark, but as I've written it, it has some darker, but it's just fantasy. And yeah, it's about a girl that discovers that her city deity, it's like it's like in BC, but she discovers her city deity was actually a real person and not just talk. People didn't just make it up. He's actually a real person, and she finds him dead down in this temple, and adventures start. Well, I guess adventures started before then, but adventures go from there.
So you did say that you got the idea for Jacked from a dream. Where'd you get the idea for The Fearless Adept? Buffy?
No, actually, my grandmother, and it's definitely more adult than the stories my grandmother told, but my grandmother loved to make up stories. And Nadia is somewhat based off of her as a teenager. And but yeah, no, she would make up stories and tell us to get us to go to sleep or whatever. And they had all sorts of stuff: fairies, leprechauns, werewolves occasionally, which was kind of weird now that I think about it. But but yeah, no, she just we were, this was like back in the early 80s. That just, I don't know where she came up with some of these ideas, but yeah, I made it like she was this, monster hunter back in the 50s. And if the second book ever comes out, it's going to be her as an older monster hunter, and
Oh, that's
what
awesome.
happens with that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So that's kind of modeled after your grandmother. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course, what made you think of Maiden Bloom again?
Well, I used to tell stories to my wife back a long time ago before she passed a couple of years ago. But she'd always want me to tell, just these stories about magic and stuff like that. And I was generally a pretty good storyteller, and she'd ask me to do that like right before we went to bed. And a lot of them, uh, actually, Maiden Bloom is sort of a more of a side story to the big long story. If Maiden Bloom actually erupts and makes money, I plan to write Angel Bloom, which would be the story of me and my wife in these past times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like you've got at least some of the future. You plan to write that on Vella as well?
Yeah. Yeah. I find Vella, my first book that I put to Vella, Fearless Adept, I had just finished it like 3 weeks before Vella came out.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, I don't know how to publish this. I'm not sure what to do. And my friend, who is an author, he's like, you should check out Vella. I think this story would go really well on there. So that's what I did, and that's how that got there. I mean, the episodes are kind of long, and if I would have known that to begin with, I would have cut them down a little bit more. But
What's their average length?
oh, 3 to 4,000.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a lot for. I didn't really know much about it at the time. Otherwise, and I broke the story into two pieces, so they would actually fit, because they were 7,000 word chapters beforehand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would have broken it into 3 chapters, but live and learn.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what.
that's true. That's true. And there's nothing that says that you can't break it up.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to just push it to KU and put it all together.
Yeah, and let it come out as a book, which
Yeah,
is a really cool thing you can do on Vella. I really like that.
yeah. Maiden Bloom, average chapter length is between 1,000 and 2,000 words, which, from what I
Right.
understand, is the sweet spot.
I don't know. I don't know. I was going to ask you what you thought was the ideal average length, but I don't know. I think it depends on the story, don't you?
Yeah, but I've noticed that like longer longer stories tend to, you know, people want to read the entire chapter in one sitting. Generally, they don't have a long time to do it. So a lot of people are like, well, I kind of like the shorter chapters because I can just sit there, read it, and then move on. I don't have to keep going and keep going and keep going, which I understand. But so yeah, I'm trying to keep Maiden Bloom where the each episode is under 2,000 words, which is really
Right.
difficult to do with fantasy.
It is. It is difficult. It's a challenge for sure. And it's a challenge to write episodically, and
Yeah,
serialistically,
yeah,
because it's its own thing.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you can't take a book and break it up. You can, but you know, when you're writing for serials, it is a little different. And you learn as you go along. So, or
Yeah.
most do anyway. And it sounds like you definitely have when you can chop these down a little bit.
Yeah, I did. I learned a whole lot. And actually, I forgot to mention Maiden Bloom was a short story that I'd written like years ago whenever I was still in college.
Oh, okay.
So there is some stuff I'm pulling from a different story, but
Well, I'm curious, when did you get started writing? You've mentioned college. I don't know how many years ago that was for you, but
I started writing in 2004. I mean, I've been writing my whole life, but I started actually trying to put down a novel in 2004.
right.
I finished my first one in 2006, and then I went to college and reread it, and it was awful. It will probably never see the light of day. But I wrote a different one while I was in college that would um, that I it's I've been told that I need to work on it and uh, and put it out in the world, but I don't know if that one will see the light of day either. So Fearless Adept is actually the third novel I've written, and I I wrote it as a group of short stories, like each chapter, which there's two Vellas per chapter, is its own contained story.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
So they're
and it's
standalone. The episodes are standalone stories.
yeah, but they're all about the same person, different points in her life, different things that happen to her.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I like
Yeah,
that. It's like a a television show you can just pop in and out of anytime.
yeah,
I
that's
like
what I was
that.
going for.
I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. Well, so tell me this. Has Vella been, you've already said it's been good for you. Most of us have enjoyed the nice bonuses, and it's been good to get that kind of acclamation.
I mean, I haven't had great bonuses yet. I mean, the Florilegium's had some pretty decent bonuses, but nothing even close to uh, like some of the people that write for us. They bring in 7-8K a month, and I'm like, well, we made $300,
Yeah.
but
Oh, that's still pretty good.
I I think my writing has changed and progressed quite a bit because of Vellains and Vella,
Yes.
because I also do the editing and all that stuff for the Florilegium. And yeah, it's like every time I'm reading somebody else's stuff, I go, oh yeah, I
Look
do
at
that.
that.
I
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works. That
Yeah,
works.
yeah, most
That's pretty
certainly.
cool. So on that note, the reason you thought we'd already talked about E.A. Blackwell is because I asked you, before we got started recording, who you enjoyed reading, what other Vellains you enjoyed reading, and that's what you remembered from there. So now
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
time to give E.A. Blackwell a plug.
Right. Well, E.O. Blackwell, I know her well, I mean, I know her because of Vellains, but she's she's great, and I've read all of her books, and I go and I'll notice like a spelling error or a topographical error, and be like, oh, you need to fix this in the book, you might want to go change it real quick. And but she's probably going to be mad at me for telling you that, but
Don't think so.
but no, yeah, I've read everything that she's put out so far. She actually just put out something on Wednesday, but I was rereading one of the Witcher novels, so I'm gonna finish that before I go on to her fifth book. But I've read. Oh, sorry. Can you not hear me?
No, I just want to know what her books are. We
Oh,
haven't talked about what the names of any of them are.
That is true. And let me pull up my thing here so I can um, give her a proper shout out on this. Uh, let's see. All right, so the fifth book is called The Third Tenant, but I am going to go and find the first one. She has two Vellas right now. One's called Eden Eternal, and the other one
Eden
is called
Eternal.
and the other one is called Granite Windstar, which was the one that blew up and made her decide to go ahead and get her books ready to go.
Granite Windstar.
Yeah, Granite Windstar.
Got it.
That was in the top 3 for a good long time.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And I searched her out and I was like, I want you to join Vellains. All right, so the first one is called Eternity's Hourglass. And that actually, I don't know how much I want to tell without giving anything away.
No, don't tell me anything else. That's fine. EA Blackwell, there's a few of these. Granite, well, here are the Vellas. Granite Windstar and Eden Eternal.
Right.
Okay. So those are the ones we're going to focus on because this is a Vella show.
Right.
But,
Okay. Yeah.
So what has been your favorite thing about writing for Kendall Vella?
I honestly, it pushes me to write regularly. And, they say it takes doing something 10,000 times to become a master of it.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. But yeah.
So that's been your favorite thing, is that it's in and of itself, because of its very nature, it's motivational.
Right. Exactly.
I think so too.
Yeah, I wrote the first 19 chapters of Maiden Bloom in 21 days.
Woofed.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about that. And
that's great.
Everybody's like, oh, you should put that out a chapter at daily. And I was like, no, that's a lot of work.
Nope. That's big nope.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, if I could keep up the 19 chapters in 21 days, I'd be totally behind that. But no, I can't.
I'm interviewing a Vella author pretty soon. I love the name of her Vella. It's Jeannie Jones in the Cave of Nope.
That sounds fun.
It does sound fun. Okay, so let's see. I've asked you who your favorite is. We've got EA Blackwell. I've asked you what you like best about it, and you like it that it's by its very nature, it's motivational. It's like you got to get another episode out. You got people who are reading this thing. You got to show them where you're going. And so now I want to ask you, this one's a tough one too. Okay. If you, sir, Airik Eisen, were the keeper of the Vella keys, is there anything you would change, and what would it be?
Yes. Some of it has changed already, so my answer has changed a little bit. But stuff like Vella, serialized fiction, is super popular in Europe, from what I understand. And it just seems like, I know it's still in beta, but it just seems like they would go, there's a good chance of making a lot of money in Europe. Why aren't we using that?
So if you were the keeper of the keys, you'd kick open the doors to international audience.
Yeah, I think that would be, I think that would affect everybody in the most positive way.
I think that would, it would bring a lot of people, and it's certainly not the first time I've heard that answer here on Hella Vella. That's been a lot of people's wish to get that going. But one thing about it, you know that that's where they're going
Oh
eventually.
yeah.
And we're in the catbird seat. We've been here for a while, you know, when they do get that going.
Yeah.
We will be literally the envy of the serial writing world when this thing cracks open, because we will be the ones who are already on there, have established audiences, to, you know, have some established audience, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll be the examples.
Yeah. I agree with that. I just wish it would have come a little bit sooner than it did. I mean, they did fix some of the problems. They actually, you know, oh, I forgot about that. So Vella does not work on Kindle's own app, like on the Kindle Fire, does not work. It's like, I mean, that was if it were me, that would have been the first thing I would. It's like, this is our app. We should make it work there first.
Right. You got to be kidding me, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess a lot of people don't have Kindle Fires, but I do. And I was like, for sure this is going to be on the Kindle Fire. And I think that every month, and I check, and it's like, no, still unavailable on
Still
in this
no.
program. It's like,
Still in the cave
wow.
of nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, that's pretty bad. I didn't know that. I really didn't. I know how the Kindle app behaves on an Apple product, and it does okay. But oh, I did not know that on Kindle Fire, on its own very own app. Oh, ow, that hurts, man.
It works really well on Android. I do know that.
Hey, I
But
heard that as well. Yeah,
on
everybody was
the
pretty
Fire
tickled
app,
when that opened up.
yeah,
So
I was too.
pretty stoked about that. So are there any projects? I guess there aren't any projects you can tell us about, because, you know, you're still in the creative phase with Maiden Bloom, right?
Yeah, I mean, Maiden Bloom's coming out in a couple weeks. Season 3 of the Florilegium is coming out in a couple of weeks, and the first book of the Horrors of Sintetek is going to come to KU in a couple of weeks. So really,
There's a lot
that's
going on.
yeah,
There's a lot going
yeah,
on. Yeah. So I guess you've got all you can handle there. Well, that
a little
sounds
bit,
pretty
yeah.
good. So I know we're going to keep seeing more good stuff from you. And I really appreciate you taking the time and coming to talk to me today.
Oh, certainly.
I have enjoyed having you on here, and I wish you every success in your future writing. And once again, like I say, thank you for being on here. Is there anything you want to tell any fans that'll be clicking on your work down in the description? Anything you want to say to them before we sign off?
Oh, yeah, nothing really I could think of. That was a question that I hadn't really thought of an answer to. Um,
Read my stuff.
yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. Go check it out. Get past the first or second chapter of anything I have out, and I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Exactly. Well, I agree with that. And I think everybody should give it a chance. And I, especially myself, am going to take a look at Jack. That just sounds too good. Too good not to have a looky-loo at. Plus the Vellains, the Vellain anthologies. We'll for sure have those links down in the description as well, because we definitely want to see those. Collaboration's where it's at, man. That's where it
I
seems to be
agree.
at for 2022 and going forward. What's the old axiom? If you want to travel fast, travel alone. If you want to travel far, travel together.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate it. And like I say, I wish you every success.
Oh, thank
Talk
you.
to you soon.